Okay, good morning everyone in Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. As we are studying together Parashat Behaalotecha. Parashat deals, of course, we know, with the Jewish people complaining to Moshe non-stop. And Moshe had it till here. And he said, I'm done with you guys. He goes over to God. He's handing over his resignation. And Hashem says, don't worry, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you elders to help you. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Isfali Shiv'im Ish Miziknei Yisrael. God says to Moshe, gather 70 men, Miziknei Yisrael, from the elders, Asher Yadata Kihem Ziknei Ha'am V'Shoterav, who you know are the elders and the officers. V'lakachta otam Elohim Moed, you should take them to the tent, V'etiyatzevu sham imach. So the Parashat tells us that God tells Moshe to gather 70 men, 70 elders. The Midrash on this has a question. V'chi lo hayu zekenim l'she'avar. Why did Moshe have to go and gather and find 70 elders? Didn't we already have elders? Halo kvar ne'emar. If you go back to Parashat Shemot, it says over there, God told Moshe when he meets him for the first time at the burning bush, which is ironically where they are now, still at Har Sinai. God says to Moshe, go and let my people go free the Jewish people, and gather with you, lech ve'asafta et ziknei Yisrael. Go and gather the elders to help you. So there were already elders. We know who they are. Why did Moshe need to go find new elders? Fascinating question of the Midrash. And says the Midrash, you know why? To teach us. It's giving us a little history before it gives us the answer. When Paro said to the Egyptians, remember Paro was afraid of the Jewish people? We have a Jewish problem. So he tells his men, his people, his advisors, let us outsmart them. What was this outsmarting? V'yasimu alav sarei misim. And they placed on the children of Israel taskmasters. Sarei misim. Lema'an anoto besivlotam. In order to afflict them. In order to put their burdens on them. Paro says, we got to outsmart the Jews. How are you going to outsmart the Jews? This is what he did. You ready? I mean, what's the outsmarting here? Really, what did Paro do? It sounds like he just gathered us up and he enslaved us. What's the outsmarting? It sounds like he did something very, very cunning. So explains the Midrash, I'll tell you where there was outsmarting. Because we know Paro didn't just gather them and beat them up and enslave them. That would be overpowering. He didn't overpower them. He outsmarted them. Day one, you know what he did? Kibet et kol Yisrael. He gathered all of the Jews. Ve'amar lahem, and he said, Bebakasha, please, asu imi hayom betova. Can you work for me today as a favor? I need some help. I'm just trying to build some pyramids. Haru dichtiv, va'ya'avidu Mizrahi et bnei Yisrael befarech. The pasuk says that they enslaved us befarech, which our rabbis explain to mean beferach, with a soft mouth. The work didn't start with whips and beatings. It started with a soft mouth, a favor. Please, be a good Samaritan, be a good Egyptian. We're all doing it. Come and join us. Natal salu magrefa. Paro himself grabbed the basket, bragged the shovel. Mi hayaro et Paro. And then who will be able to watch? The king himself is working. We're not going to work. 9/11, the president comes down to ground zero. He's picking up stuff. Everyone's going to join him. Paro's working. We're going to help you work. They made bricks. So where was the outsmarting? So the Jews, to show we're faithful, loyal Egyptians, we're good to the country. So they grabbed baskets, they grabbed shovels, and they started working their hardest that day with all their strength. We know that the Jews were very strong. Then it got dark that day. This is day one. He placed taskmasters, and he said, go and count how many bricks each Israelite made. Immediately the taskmasters went, they started counting. Amar lahem, then Paro said to the Israelites, this is your quota, this is what you must match every single day. If you did it today, this is what you're going to have to make every single day. And if you don't care about the country. If you don't, you're lazy. Look, you could do it. This was the outsmarting. That he began in a friendly way. He began in a loving way. Minat hanogsim shel Mizrahi al hashoterim. And then he appointed these taskmasters on shoterim. These taskmasters weren't in charge of the individual Jews. There was in between the slaves and the taskmaster, there was a set of officers, Jewish officers called shoterim. And these were foremen that were in charge of making sure the Jews met their own quota. So you had Jewish slaves, and then on top of them Jewish officers, and then on top of them the taskmasters, the Egyptian taskmasters. So it was Jew, Egyptian. And they had to meet every day their quota. By the way, the Rambam, Maimonides, writes to his son in a letter that you have to be very, very careful, because the Yetzer Hara is like Paro. The Yetzer Hara is like Paro. What does that mean? That he's like Paro? Maimonides says, how did Paro attack us? How did Paro get us? He didn't get us one shot. He came slowly. The Rambam says to his son, the Yetzer Hara is the same thing. The Yetzer Hara is, he comes slow. Comes, let you guard down a little. Just do this small thing. Just that thing. Just eat that food. It's fine, it's kosher. Just don't say beracha. You don't have to wash. He starts very, very small. Before you know it, it's a huge sin. It's like the joke of the guy, he calls the rabbi. He's all panicking. He's in tears. He says, Rabbi, I need help. What happened? Please, Rabbi, I need teshuvah. Wow, okay, what'd you do? Rabbi, I don't know what got into me. He says, what got into you? Tell me what you did. I can help you do teshuvah. The rabbi's thinking, what did he do? He killed, he raped, what did he do? Finally, the guy said, I'm really sorry, Rabbi. It's really not like me. But I ate bread and I didn't wash. Netilat yadayim. The rabbi's listening. Rabbi's like, oh, Baruch Hashem. That's it. He's thinking to himself, okay, he didn't wash. So he says, oh, okay, listen, really you should wash. You have to wash. But we could do teshuvah, not a problem. But tell me, Moshe, how come you didn't wash? I know you're a religious guy. You always wash. What happened that you didn't wash today? He says, I'll tell you. I wanted to wash. Don't get me wrong. But there was no sink. There was no sink in the restaurant, so I didn't wash. The rabbi is confused. He's like, I don't understand. A kosher restaurant doesn't have a sink. What kind of restaurant doesn't have a sink? The guy says, well, it wasn't a kosher restaurant, Rabbi. Rabbi is what? I don't understand. Wait, you ate not kosher? He goes, yeah, I ate in a not kosher restaurant. He goes, forget the washing. You ate not kosher. What were you doing in a not kosher restaurant? The guy says, well, I wanted to eat. I was very hungry, but I couldn't. He says, why you couldn't eat kosher? He says, all the kosher restaurants were closed. He says, why were the kosher restaurants closed? He says, because it was Yom Kippur, Rabbi. What kind of kosher restaurants open on Yom Kippur? So the guy's crying about Netilat Yadayim. It's Yom Kippur. But says the Rambam to his son, this is how the Yetzer Hara works. He works in steps, in increments. He starts by getting you to do the small sins. And then before you know it, you're addicted. One drug, one hit, one gamble, one win at the casino. That's the Yetzer Hara. You know, when they give you on these casino gambling apps, when they give you a free $50, what do you think, they're crazy? Who's giving free money? Nothing in life is free. If the hotel's letting you stay in the room for free, trust me, it's the most expensive room of your life. Nothing's free. But they say, here, just gamble 50, just 50. It starts with a 50, it comes 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000, and I'm going to get it. It's just one more win, and I break even. And the guy who's smart knows, they won't even go the first time. You got to stay far away the first time. You're out of your mind if you even give one. Don't even give him a chance. Very far away. You got to put it away. You got to put the game away. Don't let the Yetzer Hara in. Well, anyways, this is not the point of the Midrash, by the way. This is just leading up to the point. We still didn't answer our original question. But, so he has, again, 3 tiers. We have the slaves, the Jewish slaves. Then we have the Jewish taskmasters. And then we have the Egyptian taskmaster. Then what happened many months later, or years later? Amar lahem lo tosifu latet teven la'am. Remember, eventually, when Moshe came to say, let us go, Paro got annoyed. He said, let you go? Not only am I not letting you go, I'm doubling the work. Double the work. What does it mean, double the work? You have to find your own straw. Pasuk says, Lo tosifun latet teven la'am. No longer give them straw. They have to find their own straw. They have to make the same amount of bricks, the same quota like yesterday and the day before. Do not reduce it, Paro says. This is the end of Perashat Shemot. And remember, right after this, Moshe went to God and said, God, lama hare'ota lama zeh? Why are you doing this bad to the people? Hayu ba'im hanogsim. So these Egyptian taskmasters would come. Umwaninet levenim, and they would count the bricks at the end of the day. V'nimtzeu haserot, and they were missing. They were short of the quota. Hayu makina nogsim et hashotrim, and they would beat up these Jewish foremen. Shneimar vayuku shotere bnei Israel. The pasuk says this. The Jewish foremen got beat up. They got hit. They were beaten. The Jewish officers were beaten. Vayu hashotrim mukim al yeter ha'am. And although they were get beaten, lo hayu mosrim otam b'yad hanoksim. They would not give the slaves to get beaten in their stead. Ve'omrim, because they said, mutav anu lilkot. Better that we should get whipped. Ve'al yikashlu yeter ha'am. And the people themselves, the rest of the nation, should not falter. The whips would take them overboard. And so they took the hit instead of the other guy. My friends, these are the elders. These are the shoterim in Perashat Shemot. Says the Midrash, Lefichach keshe'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore in our Perashah, when God says to Moshe, Esfalim shevinish miziknei Yisrael, find me 70 men from the elders. Amar Moshe, Moshe says, Ribono shel olam, master of the universe. Eni yodeya mi ra'ui u'mi ra'ui. Who am I supposed to pick? 70 men? Who out of 600,000? Who's going to be suitable enough to be a leader? Amar lo, God said back, Asher yada'ta. You already know who they are. You know them. Ki hem ziknei ha'am v'shoterav. They are the elders, the foremen who got beaten. They are the ones who were willing to take the hit instead of their brother. Otana zekenim, those elders, those foremen who gave themselves over to be beaten for the Israelites on behalf of their brothers to the Egyptians, because they couldn't meet the quota. They're going to come and partake of the greatness. Yavo'u v'yitelu b'gedulah hazo. Let them take this greatness. And that's what the pasuk means. The ones that you already know. God says you know who they are. The answer lies beneath you. Right? The answer is with you, Moshe. You know who they are. And because they gave themselves to be beaten, They will be rewarded with carrying the leadership and the burdens of the people. They were carrying the beatings of the people. Now they could be leaders and help you with the burden of the people. And from here we learn, says the Midrash, whoever gives over of himself on behalf of the Jewish people, will merit honor, Gedulah, greatness, Ruach HaKodesh, prophecy. Unbelievable. Says the Midrash, you don't want to be great in life? You have to carry the weight of your brother. This is called, in the language of our rabbis, Noseh be'ol havero. This is very high level. To carry my friend's burden. I'm not talking about over here not beating people up. I'm not talking about not embarrassing people. That for sure we're not doing. For sure. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not stealing from anyone. But sometimes in life we mind our own beeswax. We mind our own business. I'm not going to get involved. I don't know. Whatever. Noseh be'ol havero means that I see if my friend is struggling, I'm going to help them. I'm going to put myself under their weight. Help them in their misery. I don't have to. I didn't get them into this mess. You see a guy stuck. He needs help with his car. I gotta go. I have work. Gotta go to shul. But the guy needs help. Come, let me help you. This is, my friends, not just a nice thing. To Hashem, this is one of the most important midot that He looks for in a person. Before God is ready to give someone greatness, He doesn't want to see how much they know. He doesn't want to see how smart they are. He doesn't want to see how giving they are. He wants to see, do they know how to empathize? Do they feel the pain of the person next to them? That's called empathy. Empathy is a big thing. Empathy means that if I'm sitting on a table with people and they may be not as wealthy as me, then you know what? I'm not going to talk about the vacation I just went on. Because that's not empathy. That's insensitive. Because they can't afford it. So you know what? I'm not going to flex my vacation. If I'm sitting with a friend and she's still single, I'm not going to talk about how hard marriage is and rub it in. Because that's not empathy. I'm not going to talk about my children and how they just graduated. That's not sensitive. Noseh be'ol havero means you're suffering and I'm suffering and I'm thinking about you. I empathize with your pain. It's using our imagination to be able to relate to another person that's going through something in life. When Hashem introduces Himself to Moshe Rabbeinu, He introduces Himself not in a rose bush that's beautiful flowers, not in a gardenia. He introduces Himself in a rose bush with thorns. Thorn bush. You know why? Eseneh. God is saying to Moshe, Imo anochi betzara. I am in pain with him. I'm with them. You're not alone. You're in Galut and I'm in Galut. To feel the pain of the Jewish people. That's what God says to Moshe. And then He tells him, take your shoes off. You know why? Because when your shoes are off, you feel every tiny pebble on the floor. Moshe, you want to be a leader? It starts by taking your shoes off. You sure you want to be? You know what it means to be a leader? It means you got to wake up in the middle of the night for a congregant. Not an easy thing to be a leader. You want to be a boss? A real, a Jewish boss? That means your employees, their problems are your problems. That's what leadership is. That if they're going through something, then you got to get on a plane and go there. I'm with you. I'm on the floor with you. I'm crying with you. Whatever you need, I'm with you. Beat me, don't beat him. Hit me instead. This is what Hashem is looking for in leadership. Take your shoes off, Moshe. Make sure you're ready for this. Every rock's got to hurt you. You got to care about every single guy. The big, the small, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to care about everyone. That's leadership. That's Imo anochi betzara. God says, you know who the elders are. You know who they are because they've already showed that they can empathize. And so it's not the elders that Moshe gathered to go speak to Paro the first time. God says that's fine, but they're not the guys. For leadership, I need those other guys, the officers that took the beatings. Those guys, bring them. To be sensitive, my friends. This is the lesson of the Zekenim. And when we look through all our Gedolim, you can't be a great leader without this. Not then, not now. All our rabbis showed this sensitivity to the pain of other people. Imo anochi betzara. To feel the pain and to feel the happiness. When there was the hijacking in the 70s and the rabbis were on the plane, Rav Hutner was released in one of the first releases. And when he arrived at JFK, there was music and people were very happy. And Rav Moshe Feinstein went over to the band and he made them stop playing music. And he said, we're very happy that Rav Hutner is home, but there's still hostages that didn't get released. Their families are suffering. Their families are still crying. We have to be sensitive to that. We have to be happy, but we also have to empathize with those that have not come home yet. 613 days yesterday, since October 7th. Very powerful number, 613. We know that number. But we have to remember it's not over. There's still a couple dozen left, alive, some dead, but there's still a few left. We have to remember that. We can't lose the empathy. Summer's coming. Thank God we got most home. It's true, but we still also have to have room in ourselves. And as we grow in life, we have to keep that always, no matter what. Even a chatan, he gets married. Al Rosh Simchati, on the highest day of my life, he's breaking the glass because the Shekhinah is suffering. I'm happy, but Hashem's not. I got married, but God's divorced. I'm building a home, Hashem's house is still in the ashes. Mesilah Yesharim, chapter 19, he talks about this concept of a chassid thinking about Hashem's pain. It's a very high level. It's a very high level. We're very far from this. But there is a concept of feeling the pain of the Shekhinah and crying for the Shekhinah and realizing the Shekhinah is still not home. Hashem, it's your world, and how is it that your world and your house is still not built? It's like, imagine the host of the party didn't get food at his own party and he's starving. He said, of course, it's your party. Here, take my plate. Hashem, it's your party. Where's your house? A real chassid, he cries not for the Mashiach because we're suffering. He cries because Hashem's suffering. How many times, when was the last time we prayed in the Amidah? And we had in mind, Tishkon betoch Yerushalayim. God, please bring the Mashiach for you. Your name needs to be great again. The world needs to recognize you as the creator. Not about us. Hashem, please, for yourself. Come home. You deserve it. That's a very high level. That's empathy. That's feeling the pain of the Shekhinah. You have a few rabbis today that maybe they do that. It's a very hard level. Go to the Kotel, you see Rabbi Ades crying every day. These people feel it. So maybe we can't do it like that, but we could try to do something to be a little bit empathetic. Thinking about other people, about the Shekhinah, about Hashem, about others. We can't just be focused on our own pain, our own needs, our own wants, our own life. I have to go somewhere, but you know what? This guy's stuck. Let me help him out. How many things do we do for other people? A day, a week, a year. How many things do we do that we're doing for somebody else? And I'm saying, you know what? I'm feeling your pain. You're not alone. You're not alone. I just want you to know you're not alone. Rav Shach in the Gulf War, 90s. He was sleeping on the edge of his bed. Every few minutes his head would fall off and he would wake up again. He wouldn't get a good night's sleep. Rabbi, you're old man, what are you doing that for? He said, many boys in the yeshiva, in Panovich Yeshiva, from America, from Chutz La'aretz, and because there's the Gulf War, there's a war zone over here. Many of their parents wanted them to come home. But they asked me what to do as the rabbi of the school. What was my opinion? And I told them my opinion was that if they're staying here learning Torah, they don't have to worry. They could stay. That's my opinion, my hashkafa. He said many boys listened to me and they stayed here against their parents' request. He says, and now their parents are not sleeping at night because of my psak, because of my ruling, because of my advice. How is it fair that I should sleep and they're not sleeping? He couldn't sleep on the bed. This is sensitive. So we have to start opening our eyes, my friends. We got to start looking. We got to start seeing people in the world around us that are in pain. We can't just be focused on ourselves, our own pain, our own life. It's very selfish. We got to start thinking. You know what? This other person. Let me help them. Forget about me and my pain. What about their and their pain? What about them and their pain? That's gadlut. That's greatness. When we do that, we're on our step. We're in the process. To becoming great, to becoming leaders. And ultimately that's who Hashem chooses to be the future leaders of the Jewish people, the Zekenim. Asher Yadata, you know who they are, Moshe. They're the guys who know how to show empathy for Am Yisrael. They're going to be the future leaders. Take them with you. So I think this is a very powerful idea, Be'ezat Hashem, to be able to learn, to feel those the pain of those around us, to try to take off our shoes a little bit, and Imo Anochi Betzara. Okay, we'll stop over here. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.